Some of you might not like the new poetry on the SAT, but I think it's not so bad. It's scarier than it actually is. Let's just take a look at this. Which quotation from the poet most effectively illustrates the claim? Ugh. Often rebuked, yet always back returning is an 1846 poem by Emily Bronte. The poem conveys the speaker's determination to experience the countryside around her. So we don't get much here, but there are two strong words that kind of stand out to me: determination and countryside. Right? Those are two very specific ideas. Determination is a specific emotion. It has certain connotations and other ideas kind of orbiting around it. And then the countryside is a specific place. So I would love, and this is how I think of it in my mind, I have two boxes. I would love to check both of those boxes for the determination and the country. So if I have a choice that does that, that's probably a good answer. So let's take a look at the actual choices. Choice A: often rebuked, yet always back returning to those first feelings that were born with me, and leaving busy chase of wealth and learning for idle dreams of things which cannot be. Well, the countryside would be the most obvious thing to find here, but I'm not seeing it, right? They're not talking about the countryside in any way. Maybe it's kind of implied. I do maybe think that they're talking about determination, right? Leaving the chase of wealth, right? So I'm leaving this one path and going on another, so I'm determined to do this other thing. I really don't know. I'm kind of just fishing here, but that's kind of your job, right? Is if you had two ideas that you pulled out of the passage, we want to see both of those ideas in the choices. I can kind of stretch it so that one of them fits, the determination idea. But the countryside thing, I don't see it. It might be there, so I'm not going to eliminate this choice, but it's not obvious to me. Let's look at B. I'll walk but not in old heroic traces, and not in paths of high morality, and not among the half-distinguished faces, the clouded forms of long past history. Okay, but I don't know what this means at all. You're walking in these paths. Are you determined to walk in them? What are half-distinguished faces? I have no idea what this means. Now, maybe that means I eliminate it. Maybe it means I keep it because I'm not smart enough to know what it is. But it's not good, right? I mean, I have two clear ideas that I'm looking for. I'm reading this actively trying to find those ideas in here. And if nothing is clicking, not a good sign. So you can't panic when you don't understand stuff. Like, we'll leave it in, but I'm going to just leave that question mark. I have no idea what it says. C. I'll walk where my own nature would be leading. It vexes me to choose another guide. Where the gray flocks in ferny glens are feeding, where the wild wind blows in the mountainside. So that is absolutely a checkoff of the countryside. So that's good. And then determination, right? Is that checked off? Well, I'll walk where my own nature would be leading, right? So I'll go where I want to go. I'm determined to follow my own path. It vexes me to choose another guide. You might not know the word vex, but you know what it means to choose another guide. So there's a good example of like maybe a contrast. You're like, okay, she's walking where she wants to go, and something about another guide. Vex doesn't sound like a good word. In fact, it means it frustrates me, it angers me, it bothers me to choose another guide. So she's definitely going in her own path. So I would say that this checks that box, right? I mean, it doesn't just come out and say I'm determined, but it says like I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to go with my own nature. So this feels good. Let's look at D just to be safe. Today I will seek not the shadowy region. Its unsustaining vastness waxes drear, and visions rising, legion after legion, bring the unreal world too strangely near. This is even worse than B. I have no idea what this is saying. Maybe in the context of the poem I would, but it's not about the countryside, not about determination. It seems very negative, in fact, whereas determination usually is pretty good. Yeah, this would be a great example where I might not be able to speak intelligently about this poem because I am not an expert, but because the question or the passage gave me these two clear ideas, I'm able to pull them out and be very confident in my answer because I'm looking for a specific thing. And so if you're worried about these poems, this is the best way to approach them, is don't try to understand the poem. Try to understand the question, know what you're looking for, and you might not understand every word, but you will hopefully understand the words that matter, the words that check off those boxes that you need to check off. And if you have one, like choice C, that checks off more boxes than another, like choice A, go with the one that checks the most boxes. You might not check every box, But if you have one that seems like it's hitting a lot of the ideas, that's the one to go with. Don't worry about A. Odds are good at if it actually did what it needed to do, you would have noticed. So I'm trusting myself and picking C.